Good afternoon. Oh, I love it. You guys are awake. And welcome everyone to the Chicago Cultural Center, the People's Palace. It's an honor to gather here in this historic space to mark truly an extraordinary moment for our city, for our state, and for our global arts community. I want to begin by welcoming Mayor Brandon Johnson, Governor Pritzker, our partners from Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz, UNESCO, the United Nations, our cultural institutions, our artists, educators, members of the press, and all of the civic and business leaders who understand that culture is not an accessory to a great city. It is essential to it. And so today we're so proud to officially launch the countdown to International Jazz Day 2026. And we do so proudly introducing Chicago as the host city for the world's most significant celebration of jazz. That is no small distinction. It is a recognition of Chicago's legacy and of our creative power. Chicago is a jazz city. It always has been. Jazz here has not just lived in our stages or in clubs. It has lived in our 77 neighborhoods, in our classrooms, in our churches, in our basements. Y'all know those basement parties. And in the back rooms. To welcome International Jazz Day to Chicago is to bring that legacy home to the world. As acting commissioner of the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, I'm especially proud that DCASE is hosting today's launch in the People's Palace and helping to support all of the great work Chicago will play in this global celebration. Today, you will hear from civic leadership, international partners, artists, and cultural champions who bring a different perspective to this historic moment. My role is simply to set the tone. Chicago is ready. Our artists are ready. Our communities are ready. And our city is proud to welcome the world. But before we continue, we want to share a short video that captures the global power, energy, and spirit of International Jazz Day and gives you a little bit of a glimpse of what's coming to Chicago in 2026.
Music inspires one to become more human. To me, the word jazz means, I dare you.
With an open heart, I offer my thanks for helping make today International Jazz Day. Jazz is always about freedom, and will always be about freedom. To expand, freedom to explore.
You know, I love you, 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 I love you anyhow. And I don't care if you don't want me. I'm yours right now.
Music is the universal language of the soul. The whole spectrum of human emotions is there for us to experience. And for me, music is the full expression.
Everyone's really desperately seeking for some thread of connectivity. Like, aren't you like me and I'm like you? Like, aren't we more similar than different? The love of this music really feels global.
Musicians from all over the planet can come together, not meet each other ever before, and get on stage and make music together. Jazz is just the perfect kind of music for inclusion.
Deep
music has no nationality, has no boundary, has no color. Jazz belongs to you as much as it belongs to me.
Hungry round the river, let that damn water be. There's some people down the way that's thirsty, so let the liquid spirit free. The folk are thirsty because of man's unnatural hand. Watch what happens when the people catch wind of water in the rain. On a hard, dry land, come on, clap your hands at the clouds.
You have to remember that there's only 12 notes that we have. Everybody's had those same 12 notes for 500 years. 12, that's it. And all over the world, they know it.
The sunlight.
When we go on that stage, we are having a conversation. When it gels, I live for that.
This one thing I'm sure that I never.
All music's it's about love. You can be angry, but you're not going to stay angry for long once you start playing. And that's where the real humanity comes in.
Jazz is a cultural passport of tolerance and freedom.
It's the thread that keeps us all together.
Wow. Wow. April cannot come soon enough. And so what you just saw represents more than a celebration of music. It represents diplomacy through culture, it represents unity across borders, and it represents what is possible when art is centered as a force for connection and progress. And Chicago is so very honored to be a part of that story. And so with that, is now my pleasure to introduce Tom Carter, president of Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz. Tom?
Thank you, Commissioner Merritt. It's such a pleasure to be here. The Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz is the lead organization representing Herbie and all the jazz community organizing Jazz and Jazz Day around the world. We work very closely with the United Nations and UNESCO. You saw in this film a good idea, but I'm going to give you a very quick history on International Jazz Day. Herbie Hancock, who of course is from here in Chicago, was nominated by President Barack Obama and then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to be a Goodwill Ambassador to UNESCO. Herbie, in turn, was installed as a Goodwill Ambassador in July of 2011. The first initiative was, in his mind, was to create an International Jazz Day, one day a year where jazz and the power of music could unite the world. It normally takes 5 years, and Herbie got it through in 4 months. He literally walked all the floors of the UN and of UNESCO. The vote came up in November of 2011 at UNESCO, and it was one of those rare occasions where it passed literally unanimously. All 194 nations of the world supported this. No abstentions, no votes against it. They were amazed. From there, it went to the United Nations, the General Assembly, and everyone was anticipating all types of questions. Again, it passed. Every member of the General Assembly supported Herbie and International Jazz Day and the jazz community. It was an endorsement of jazz, America's music, and how jazz unites the world. So the first Jazz Day was only a few months later in April. April 30th has been designated as International Jazz Day. April is Jazz Appreciation Month, and it culminates with International Jazz Day. So the first International Jazz Day was April of 2012, and we had 80 countries that participated. It was launched with a sunrise concert in New Orleans and Congo Square. Then we went to New York, the United Nations, which has so embraced International Jazz Day, had an amazing concert there. It was hosted by Quincy Jones, Michael Douglas, Robert De Niro, and others. And then we had everyone there from obviously the entire jazz community, but then you had the Tony Bennett's, you had Stevie Wonder and many others. It was an amazing launch. So then the UN and UNESCO got together and they said, look, all these countries are coming together. We need to have a host city, a place where everyone, like they did here at the United Nations, can literally focus and watch this global concert. So each year now it has continued to grow. We have 197 countries that are a part of International Jazz Day, having in those countries and all 50 states, we have performances, education programs, and community service. The next year, for what was technically the first host city, we went to Istanbul, which brings together two continents, Europe and Asia. From Istanbul, it went to Osaka, Japan. From Osaka to Paris for the home of UNESCO. The following year, President Obama and Michelle Obama hosted International Jazz Day and the global concert from the White House. It was broadcast on ABC here in our country, but it was broadcast around the world. From the White House in Washington, D.C., we went to Havana, Cuba. St. Petersburg, Russia was the following year, followed by we went to Australia. It was to be in Sydney, but then Sydney and Melbourne got in this very competitive tug of war over who was going to have International Jazz Day. So they determined that all the education programs would come from Sydney and the Sydney Opera House, and the concert would come from Melbourne. In 2020, it was scheduled to go to Cape Town, South Africa, but being in April, the pandemic hit. So for the next few years, we did it virtually around the world. Then we moved to Tangier, Morocco, and this past year, it was moved and it was in Abu Dhabi, UAE. Then the decision was, where do we go with International Jazz Day 2026? Herbie, obviously, was the 15th anniversary of International Jazz Day, and it was also, or is also, the 250th anniversary of the United States. And Herbie's dream has always been he wanted to come back here to Chicago. It's where he was born, where he was raised, and it was here that he was introduced to jazz, and that was very important. And thanks to a lot of work from especially Kurt Elling, who you'll hear from a little bit later, and many civic leaders and government officials and others and business leaders, the UN and UNESCO were convinced that International Jazz Day 2026 should be here in Chicago. It's going to be an... You're going to be hearing a lot in just a few moments about all the things that are going to be taking place. The entire month of April, there are going to be all jazz education programs and performances all over the city. And then, of course, it will culminate on the evening of April 30th with the global concert that will be broadcast and live streamed around the world. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, last year's concert was viewed by over 250 million people around the world. So all eyes will shine here on the city of Chicago. I do want to just share one special program that we have planned, and that is to Herbie and our institute, education is very important. So we're going to do a special program over at Hyde Park Academy where Herbie went to school. It was at Hyde Park Academy, then Hyde Park High School. As some of you may know, Herbie was a classical pianist. He was a prodigy. He was playing with the Chicago Symphony at 11. But it was in the auditorium there at Hyde Park that a friend of his was performing jazz, and all of a sudden all the bells and whistles and lights went off, and it changed Herbie's life, and ultimately it changed the world of music. So we're going to do something very special over at Hyde Park for the students, and Herbie's going to bring people from all over the world to his high school to say thank you to the education system here in Chicago, thank you to the city, and he wants to share it with young people in the belief that all it takes is one moment in time to change a life. There have been many people who have been instrumental in International Jazz Day, and one of those is an individual who was very vocal and supportive and working to get Jazz Day here. He actually tracked me down in the Middle East with a phone call and said that Jazz Day has got to come to Chicago. It's very important in Chicago. It's very important in the state of Illinois. You know the history of jazz here, and as you may know, he's a very passionate individual and persuasive. It's my pleasure to introduce the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Tom, and good afternoon, everyone. Really, really proud to be here with all of you today. It's an exciting day for the city, exciting day for music lovers everywhere. As we announce the lineup for the 2026 International Jazz Day right here in Chicago, the most American of American cities. This is going to be just an incredible celebration of an art form that helped shape America's cultural heartbeat and found one of its greatest homes right here in what we call in the state of Illinois, the middle of everything. There are too many people to thank for this happening in Chicago, but I want to specifically call out just a few folks for their work on this. Of course, President Tom Carter of the Herbie Hancock Institute for his dedication to bringing this event to Chicago. Yes, I tracked him down and found him in an airport in Abu Dhabi. Is that where you were? In Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure what hour I caught you, but it seemed like it was about 3 in the morning maybe. I didn't know where he was. But Tom also was excited about bringing it to the city of Chicago. So, great when you've got an organization that's dedicated to bringing it here. In a year, by the way, the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, to bring it right here to the center of the country. I also want to thank Illinois Arts Council Chair Nora Daly for the revival that she is bringing to arts across the great state of Illinois. And certainly the legendary Herbie Hancock for his remarkable leadership and legacy and his indelible impact on jazz music throughout the world. And I want to thank all the devotees, many of you here today, but so many that couldn't join us today, and the jazz lovers across the world. The state of Illinois and the city of Chicago are full of people who love jazz, but we're really brothers and sisters with people across. This is the coolest art form, is it not? Yeah. There's a reason they say smooth jazz, So I want to thank all of you for helping to get this event to Chicago and for bringing it to life over the next few months. Throughout our history, Chicago and Illinois have been hubs of jazz music. Our city's depth of culture, its talent, brought many of the greats here to perform. They made their names here and they transformed the genre from Chicago legends like Louis Armstrong and Nat King Cole and Cab Calloway to Miles Davis in East St. Louis and, of course, the great Herbie Hancock. Jazz runs deep around here. In 100 days, we're going to be putting that legacy on display to the world as we welcome visitors far and wide for this historic event on April 30th. Music festivals and concerts like this are exactly the kind of world-class experiences that are driving Illinois' record-breaking tourism. They create jobs and power economic growth for our city and our state as people from all over the world come to shop and dine and enjoy our Midwestern hospitality. Illinois tourism is now responsible for 113 million global visitors who spend $48.5 billion in our state when they come. And thanks to major events like the International Jazz Day, those numbers are going to continue to grow. So from Ravinia, many of you have been to all these places to enjoy your jazz and every other kind of music, but especially jazz, from Ravinia to the Green Mill, the Krannert Center, the Shawnee Cave Amphitheater to Lollapalooza. Our Illinois-born performers and world-renowned venues embody the creativity and the diversity that make this state so special. So whether you're coming from down the street or across the globe, whether you're a lifelong jazz fan or just looking for a quick getaway, maybe you're new to jazz, come join us for an unforgettable weekend of performances. To start planning your trip, and I'm going to sound like a tourism ad when I say this, but I need everybody that's watching on their cameras at home to know that if you want to start planning your trip and discover everything that Illinois has to offer, you can go to it's our website, enjoyillinois.com. Come experience the rhythm of truly a magnificent state. So with that, it's my honor to introduce by video the founder of International Jazz Day, joining us from Los Angeles, band leader, composer, and one of the greatest jazz musicians of all time, Herbie Hancock.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker. And thank you to the city of Chicago and to everyone who is here today. It's truly an honor for me to be part of this special moment. Unfortunately, I can't be with you in Chicago today. Later tonight, here in Los Angeles, I'll be honoring my dear friend, the late Frank Gehry, a great supporter of jazz at the Walt Disney Concert Hall, a building he designed. Frank also designed another extraordinary music venue, the Pritzker Pavilion, right in the heart of downtown Chicago. So even though I'm not physically with you today, Chicago is very much with me. I'm deeply excited and profoundly moved that UNESCO has selected my hometown as a global host city for International Jazz Day 2026. It was at my high school, Hyde Park Academy, that I first discovered jazz. I was sitting in an auditorium watching a talent show, and then something clicked for me. And that moment changed my life. Jazz opened doors for me to creativity, to self-expression, and to freedom. And that is exactly why we celebrate International Jazz Day. This year marks the 15th anniversary of Jazz Day. When I first initiated this idea as a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, I never imagined it would grow into something so global, now reaching people in more than 190 countries. And in 2026, that global celebration comes home to Chicago. And we're planning an extraordinary citywide celebration and a landmark all-star global concert with incredible artists from around the world and from Chicago, a city that has always been central to shaping the American sound. At this time, I would like to announce some of the artists who will be with us in Chicago for the global concert and our education programs. Now, I can't name everyone who's already confirmed because we're going to have a record number of artists this year. But some of those joining us include Melissa Aldana, John Beasley, our musical director, Terrence Blanchard, Dee Dee Bridgewater, Bobby Broom, Till Burner, Terry Lynn Carrington, James Carter, Jacob Collier, Bella Fleck, Renee Fleming, James Genus, Robert Glasper, Marquise Hill, Christian McBride, Marcus Miller, Gregory Porter, Diane Reeves, Joel Ross, Gonzalo Rubalcaba, Jahari Sampley, Bobby Watson, and Liz Wright, and a few very special surprises. This really is a dream come true. And for me, it all comes back to those formative years I had in Chicago. From Watermelon Man to Rocket. Everything I've done musically is rooted in that early discovery of jazz and the freedom it gave me. My hope is that International Jazz Day 2026 will inspire young artists and audiences the same way this city inspired me. I can't wait to celebrate with you, and I look forward to seeing the world come together in Chicago. I want to thank one artist in particular, my friend, Kurt Elling. Hey, Kurt, you've been a champion of International Jazz Day for as long as I can remember. We've shared the stage of the global concert many times, and you were a driving force behind Chicago's application to host International Jazz Day. I love you for that. And now, over to my co-artistic director for International Jazz Day, Kurt Elling.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Thank you, Herbie. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, Mayor Johnson, Commissioner Merritt, honored guests, so many beautiful artistic friends I see in the house this afternoon. Thank you for making the scene. After 15 remarkable years showcasing jazz as a global art form, International Jazz Day returns to one of the genre's original heritage cities, our sweet home, Chicago. It is a privilege for me to work alongside Herbie Hancock and the Hancock Institute as co-artistic director of International Jazz Day 2026 to shape events where rhythm, harmony, and collaborative imagination will resonate worldwide at a time when we need it the most. We've invited some of Chicago's most foremost jazz musicians to perform in the All-Star Global Concert, reaffirming the city's unique place in jazz history. In turn, we will welcome musicians from the four corners of the world, proving that jazz has become part of a rich global artistic narrative. This music was born in America of a population stripped of home, history, family, culture, even their own names. And with only the fading echoes of Africa in their ears and the will to survive in their hearts, they dug deep into the sandy soil under the Gulf Coast, the rich earth of the Midwest, and the craggy eastern seaboard, heroically drilling through the bedrock culture of America itself, in all its contradictions and confusions, to find golden notes that had never before even been imagined. Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Wayne Shorter, and their like mined those golden notes and gave them as gifts to the world and invited the world to share the riches. Because jazz isn't just about individual brilliance and generosity, it demands rare collaboration. Individual skill, intelligence, and dedication, joined with empathetic listening, active mutual support, and collective risk-taking. Jazz teaches that for one player to win, for those golden notes to shine, everyone on the bandstand and in the audience must also win together. In fact, one could say that jazz is the music of America's dearest and deepest soul precisely because it is a living embodiment of our national motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. In that spirit, and as co-founder of the Chicago Jazz Alliance, I'm grateful for the extraordinary efforts of our executive director, Tony Carmen, from whom you'll hear in a moment, executive assistant, Maggie Walters, and the rest of our largely volunteer team in winning the bid to host our UNESCO partners. I'd like to thank Jeff Hayden and the Ravinia Festival, along with Mayor Rodering of Highland Park, who's here this afternoon. They were our very first partners as we tried to start forging a team and pulling people in. Without their help, we would not be able to be here today. I'd like to thank the Hancock Institute and our many invited guests in planning events from one end of Chicago to the other, and throughout the entire month of April leading up to the All-Star Global Concert. Many of these events will focus on young artists, emerging talents, and students in our schools. We are committed to investing in the next generation of creators and community builders. Thanks to you, Governor Pritzker. Thanks to you, Mayor Johnson, Commissioner Merritt, to your staffs, and to all of our partners throughout the greater Chicagoland area for supporting our efforts and making this dream a reality. And I invite our dear friends from the Fourth Estate who are here today to help us amplify our efforts in this historic celebration as we inspire, encourage, and help us all heal through America's greatest living art form. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kurt, and thanks for your leadership. How about that lineup that Herbie Hancock announced? So excited. And so now I have the pleasure to introduce a leader who has made arts, culture, and neighborhood investment central to his vision for our great city. A mayor who understands that cultural vibrancy and economic vitality are deeply connected, and that global recognitions begins with local commitment. Please join me in welcoming the mayor of our great city of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Thank you to our acting commissioner, Deputy Mayor Merritt. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. See, if I was a band director, we would have been really in a bad position. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for being here, and Alderman Burnett, Mayor Rotering, thank you for being here. Give a special shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Sandifer. They do some incredible work on the west side of Chicago, exposing our children to music. You know, if anyone is wondering what Kurt whispered to me over there, he said that I get one set on the drums with Herbie Hancock. You know it's real. He didn't say that, and I'm glad he didn't. But if you press me hard enough, I might come out of retirement again. You know, music plays a special part in culture and humanity. It does bring us together. It tells stories that sometimes even untold. So that's why it's an honor that we are officially launching this countdown to International Jazz Day 2026, coming to the greatest place in the world, the city of Chicago. And again, I may be biased, but I don't believe there's a better place to host this incredible international day. Not only, you know, because of this incredible initiative by Herbie Hancock, but the fact that he is a son of this great city is true testament that music is a part of the DNA of our city, and jazz runs especially deep in our communities. You know, during the Great Migration, it's Black families from the South that flocked to Chicago, bringing rich jazz and blues traditions with them, and they transformed the sound of our great city. I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge the role of gospel music in all of this as well. And so the Chicago-style jazz emerged as a combination of the Mississippi Delta, the New Orleans style, but with a heavy bass guitar and a much rapid, faster tempos. The South Side became a jazz haven, attracting legendary musicians from all over the world, as the governor has already articulated. You know, again, from Ramsey Lewis to Nat King Cole, of course, Louis Armstrong, and some of the many local nightclubs that allowed people to find a place of refuge. Chicago has always been a city of innovation, creativity, and most of all, we just bring joy to the world. The evolution of jazz music is proof positive of our city's unique spirit, or as I like to refer to as the soul of Chicago. And we are ready to showcase that spirit and our soul with the world as we host the International Jazz Day of 2026. My administration is committed to investing in arts and culture throughout Chicago. We believe that cultural exchanges can build bridges and foster understanding and empathy amongst people. As we promote global cultural exchanges through International Jazz Day, I certainly look forward to creating opportunities for Chicago's young people, families, and music lovers to come together and celebrate our shared humanity. Hosting International Jazz Day is both an honor and an opportunity for our city to shine on the global stage, showcase our neighborhoods, our culture, and of course, our most precious resource, which is our amazing people. I do want to thank all who played a part, United Nations, the Herbie Hancock Institute for Jazz, for choosing Chicago. This will definitely go down as the greatest International Jazz Day to ever be held. And so thank you all again. And with that, it is my privilege to bring to the podium a dear friend of ours and a true remarkable business leader. Please welcome Mr. Quentin Primo. Hallelujah, brother. It's good to see you, man.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Governor, both for your invaluable leadership and vision for the city as well as the state, and your support of International Jazz Day 2026. You both consistently show up time and time again for the people of the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. It's also wonderful to see my friend Kenya, Deputy Mayor, as well as Walter Burnett, our newest alderman for the 27th Ward. Good to see you here. Speaking on behalf of Mike Reschke at the end there, my dear friend of more than 30 years, and myself as co-chairs of International Jazz Day 2026. I would like to emphasize as well that this will not just be another program, but rather a pivotal moment for Chicago to shine. A moment to symbolize that this great city, what this great city is all about, in spite of and in contradiction to all of the rhetoric you read or hear about in the national press. Mike Reschke and I are all about Chicago. We certainly have accomplished many things independent of one another. But when we work in concert, even though we come from different backgrounds, with different worldviews, magic can happen. We did this in bringing Google to the Central Loop, and we will do it again in bringing International Jazz Day to Chicago. And although, as an aside, when I asked Mike, I said, Mike, I want you to join me in this effort. And I said, you've heard of Herbie Hancock before, haven't you? He said, oh, of course I've heard of Herbie Hancock. He plays clarinet, doesn't he? I said, good enough, Mike. Seriously, we need the help of Chicago's businesses to pull this off. Mike and I cannot do it alone. The mayor and the governor cannot do it alone. We need Chicago's business and cultural leaders to join and support us in our efforts. The unique educational program in our city, our schools, and communities alone should make this worthwhile. But to host a globally televised performance that will likely be seen in whole or in part by more than 1 billion people worldwide, it is something we necessarily must come together and pursue, placing our great city again on a global stage as we deserve. So thank you so much all for your attendance, and I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Carmen.
Lots of thanks here. Thank you for both turning it over and your incredible civic support. Everyone from the government to individuals to our cultural institutions, to our artists. This is an opportunity for Chicago to do what Chicago does best, both welcome the world during this incredible month and week and global concert on April 30th, but also to export what is our great city, our incredible history, as well as our current vibrant musical scene, jazz musical scene. I represent the Chicago Jazz Alliance, which was the organization that was formed to win the bid. And I think it's important to use the third word in that title, and that's alliance. This is an alliance of individuals and civic leaders, government leaders, institutions that is banding together to do what we do best, but also to make sure that jazz is touching not just venues, but also the students in the community of our great city. You will know through many of our partnerships that there will be master classes and educational events. There will be performances. And that is really the core of what International Jazz Day has been, is, and will be. It's important to both Herbie Hancock and International Jazz Day, but it's equally important to all of us here to make sure that Chicago is involved. We have many partners that we have already gathered. I ask you all both to consider joining us in this effort. There are a lot of announcements that will be forthcoming, more events that will be taking place, and I encourage you all to follow us both online, and you will all also be communicated to for the breadth and scope of what we hope will be, not hope, what we know will be an extraordinary April in 2026. With a full array of incredible events and events that will touch our great citizenry of Chicago. I'm deeply proud to be part of this organization and most importantly stand up here and acknowledge this incredible gathering of support, and to all join us, and we will be making history together in only a couple of months. We're 100 days out. The clock officially starts today. Thank you all.
We want to thank all of you for coming out today. This has been an incredible experience for all of us. Again, Herbie is so sorry he can't be here. Frank Gehry was on our board for many years, and he had to be in Los Angeles. We want to thank especially Quentin Primo and Mike Reschke for chairing this effort here in Chicago. Many of you know them for bringing Google to the Thompson Center. And to the mayor. I was supposed to say this privately, but since you've made it public that you play a drummer, Herbie told me privately to tell you that get your sticks out, that he's ready to play with you. He played with and brought out Bill Clinton many times. You may know that his cultural diplomacy mentor was Madeleine Albright, and he would bring Madeleine out to play the drums. And he would do that at the Kennedy Center, and he even pulled her up to play drums for some kids in Miami one day. So he says he's ready, and he welcomes you. We want to thank you, Commissioner Merritt, for all that you and your commission and the Department of Culture are doing for this. And Governor, we thank you for all you did in the preliminary stages and all that you're doing for us now. And without Kurt Elling, this would not be possible. I mean, Kurt, has been a part of International Jazz Day for many years, and just as Herbie wanted here in Chicago, Kurt never stopped talking to Herbie about this. In fact, when we were in Abu Dhabi last year and even in Tangier and everywhere else, he never stopped talking about it had to come to Chicago, and he's been relentless in all the best ways. So Kurt, we thank you. There's been a lot of work, but in many ways the work's just beginning, because we're going to put together the most amazing International Jazz Day in history. It's going to be all over this city for an entire month, and this concert, when it's broadcast to the world, is going to Chicago and the best that it ever possibly could as a cultural center, as an education center, and a historically location for jazz and the blues. So we thank you. We look forward to seeing all of you throughout April, and certainly we want to see you at the Lyric Opera on the 30th of April for the great glorious, grand International Jazz Day Global Concert. Thank you.